On June 12, 2023, the Philippines commemorates its 125th year of independence. Celebrating independence in the country manifests in different ways among Filipinos. While it mainly commemorates the Philippines' freedom from colonial rule, Filipinos also take this time to celebrate their cultural heritage. Such is the case of the Philippine Independence Day Council, Inc., or PIDCI, a nonprofit organization based in the United States. It is best known for what it claims to be the biggest Philippine independence parade outside the Philippines. But there is more to PIDCI than parades. The organization also aims to empower Filipinos in America and strengthen unity and cooperation among the community. Hello, I'm Michelle Abad and welcome to At Home sa Abroad, Rappler's one-stop show for everything related to the Filipino diaspora. Here we discuss topics important to Filipinos all over the world, from concerns and welfare of overseas Filipino workers, to celebrating Pinoy success stories, to reconnecting with cultural roots at iba pa. For Independence Day, we speak to Nora Galleros, President of the Philippine Independence Day Council, Inc., to tell us what it means to celebrate Philippine independence even when one is far away from home. Nora, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michelle. Good evening, everybody.
All right, good day to you. So maybe let's go to the roots of PIDCI. Can you tell me about how PIDCI started and what was the first Independence Day parade? What was it like and when was it?
I actually spoke with a couple of community leaders who were involved in the first celebration that was in 1990. So this is the 33rd year in New York City. And one of the reasons why it was put together in the first place, as you said, it was one way of uniting the Filipino community members in New York City. So it was only a block of between Madison and Fifth Avenue on 46th Street, a small or a modest beginning for a PIDCI parade. As you can see now, it's so large. So it became an annual celebration since then.
Mm-hmm. I understand there was also a parade in 1972, although that was before PIDCI was created, no?
Yes, there was an informal parade, I believe, and wasn't as consistent.
Mm-hmm.
But since 1990, it became an annual celebration, and it was conducted by the Philippine Independence Day Committee.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2001, it became incorporated, and now it is PIDCI organizing the parade on an annual basis.
I see. Okay. But maybe before 1990, when I understand, I did read on the PIDCI's website that there was an informal one in 1972. That was during the administration of former dictator Ferdinand Marcos. How were the parades like during martial law? I did look at the videos of the PIDCI parades now, and there are lots of different colors and different standpoints of the Filipinos who were participating. So what were the notable things about the parades that were happening during martial law?
As I understand from my communication, from my discussion with the community leaders, there was really not much. You could not see any placard, or you could not see a lot of Filipinos really out in the street like as you see now. So they wanted it to be large, but at the time I believe is a little bit contained, for lack of a better word.
Okay. So let's go to the recent one that you just had. I believe it was on June 4, if that's correct?
That is correct. It's always the first Sunday in June.
All right. So it was the 33rd annual celebration, right? How did it go?
Oh, it was well attended. I think this is the biggest parade ever in New York City, and it was attended by over 100 contingents, and it's not only from the Filipino community organizations in the tri-state area. We also had some delegations from the Philippines, and notable things here is the Bangsamoro had attended for the first time in PIDCI's parade. We also had representations from Aurora Province, Hingoog City, where I came from, Misamis Oriental, and we also have representations from Bacolod. And you know, Bacolod has the Mascara Festival, and it really added color to the whole parade. And as you can see, the parade is not only large, but for this year, we had a storyline. The first part of the parade, which is the first part, was what we call the historic part. And this is where we remember, that our independence today is actually was fought very hard by our heroes in the past. So we would like to honor them and to remind everybody how hard it was to get where we are now. And so that was the first part, reminding everybody the history and to celebrate the 125th. And then the second part, of course, is the one that's really colorful. It's the cultural part. And what it is we are showing to the world. We're also showing to our members of the younger generation of Filipino Americans that the Filipino culture is so rich, it's so colorful, and that the land that we have is so beautiful as well. So this is where we were inspired to put in Luz Viminda as the theme, meaning the cultural presentation should have representations of Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. So we had the special floats for Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, and we divided the groups depending on where they came from to belong to these three different groups. So that's part two. And then, of course, part three is the most important thing, I believe, and it is to honor our new breed heroes. And these are our OFWs, our professionals, our healthcare workers, because I think they are also very important. They form part of the economic fabric of the U.S. as well as the Philippines. And I think what economic growth we have, all the professionals that are working abroad contributed to that. So we wanted to give tribute to that group of individuals as well.
I'm curious, how did you manage to make it that big? I'm listening, I'm hearing you say that there were so many different representations from different parts of the Philippines and different sectors, and also to represent both history and culture. Perhaps maybe for other organizations who have been trying to replicate the parade, how were you able to really bring that many Filipinos together to really participate and make it, a very, very, lots of variety in the parade? How did you make that happen?
Okay, so I'm so blessed that we have a really good and very industrious board members. Okay, so the planning began 9 months ago, and so that's why I think the only activity, if you can describe it as the major activity of PIDCI, is this parade. It's because it takes about 9 months to prepare. So it started with a concept, and once we have formulated a concept, then we work on it. And for this year, as I said, we wanted the delegations from the Philippines, and I'll tell you about why that is in a little bit. So it started with having a good structure, and we have good committee established already, chaired by people who are experienced. And because there are new people in the board also, we always make sure that this new board member is partnered with somebody who is experienced. So it started with a good structure, and then we begin the invitation. And so the invitation goes out even if the posters had not been finalized. We began reaching out to different community organizations. But one thing I noticed, Michelle, is this. Each one of the community member has really that patriotic spirit. They only takes one call for them to respond and indicate immediately that they would be part of the celebration. So that's one thing I noticed about our Filipino communities here in the in the tri-state area. They are always looking forward to this parade, so it's not difficult to invite. So then let's go to the Philippine delegations. So one of the things that we've talked about in this year's celebration is to identify provinces and regions who have a lot to offer but never heavily promoted in this area in terms of tourism. So I came from Hingoog City, Misamis Oriental, for instance. There's a lot of tourist interests in this province, but never advertised or never promoted. Okay, It's always been, I mean, it's Boracay is beautiful, Bohol is beautiful, Palawan is beautiful, but there are other parts of the Philippines that are as beautiful, but they are not promoted, as I said. So I spoke with the governor of Misamis Oriental, Peter Onavia. I spoke with the mayor of Hingog City, Eric Canyosa. I told them and reminded them that one of their pillars in their, in their mission statement says that they would like the city to be globally competitive. And I said, here's a platform, okay? You have a lot of audience in here. It is in thousands based on the estimate of the New York police departments, about 25,000 annually attending or watching the parade physically. But because we also have the different portals now of viewing, you could potentially look at, 3 times, 4 times as much. And so you have this captive audience for the whole day. And let's harness this kind of an audience. So I told them, bring Hingoog City and Misamis Oriental to New York. And now you have a global audience to see what you guys can offer. So they've responded to that very positively, and they have indicated immediately as early as November of last year that they would like to be here. And then, of course, we've talked about, BARM. BARM had never been out of the Philippines and represented themselves in a global platform. And so they like the idea as well because, they have a lot to offer, not only in tourism, in terms of tourism, but they have fabric that's so beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm just so blessed. I was assisted by Nilo Agustin, who we used to work with the Department of Tourism, who helped me conceptualize also the participation of the Philippine delegations and had helped me follow up with the local government units. And that's the reason why they were able to make it here. And so, like, let's, for example, Aurora. Yeah, they are so famous with surfing, and so they participated, and their float won the best float in that category. Where we had a competition of the floats and the marchers, 2 categories, and Aurora won because they actually put in a float the concept of Aurora being a surfing a surfing spot. And people should really go visit Aurora as well. The governor of Aurora was here, and we were so happy to see him and his delegation participate.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's a lot of participation. That's really laudable. So maybe let's veer away a little bit from the parade. So PIDCI's name implies a focus on Independence Day, but what programs does PIDCI have when it isn't June 12th?
Okay. As I said, it takes about 9 months to put this together, right? So our focus has always been, let's give everybody a great parade. And so going back to your question, we do support members of PIDCI. The members of PIDCI are not individual members, but organizations, community members. So we are present, when there are major activities of our member organizations. So that's one of the things that PIDCI does. But if there's a huge calamity in the Philippines also, we also gather and help out in whatever way we can. So those are just what we call minor activities that we do. But for the most part, it's really the parade that's the main focus because it takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of resources, it takes a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. So how has the organization evolved through the years? Like, what support have you gotten from the Philippine government and the community? I know you mentioned this a little bit more, but how has it changed throughout the years?
Okay, so it started as a committee of the consulate, okay? Because it was the consulate who started the Philippine Independence Day celebration annually. But because it has gotten bigger and because it would require public support, so they've decided to have the committee incorporated, and it became an independent not-for-profit organization. As a not-for-profit organization, of course, and it has a 501c3 status with the Internal Revenue Service, PIDCI can solicit support from the public. And so we get for the most part, the resources we need for the annual parade from the public, from corporate sponsorships, because it's a not-for-profit organization, as I said, and it has the 501c3, which would make contribution tax deductible. We do not receive any funding from the Philippine government, but sometimes, um, we do have collaborations with the tourism board. But for this year, we did not have that collaboration since that takes a lot of time before it gets finalized. So we've really depended on the public support locally, and some sponsorship from global organizations like the real estate corporations.
How has the cooperation been like with the American government in holding your parades and activities? Because I think maybe for some, the elephant in the room might be that the US is a former colonizer. So, since it is a former colonizer, has it given like any special outreach, or like has it like always been very lenient in letting you do whatever you want in the parade?
So there is no initial reach out, but we are blessed with the city of New York. The city of New York had, of course, grandfathered this parade meaning we do have the first Sunday in June as the parade, the Philippine Independence Day parade date. But we have to go through permitting process also. So we just don't do it on that day without having to go through compliance and permitting. The good thing about it is that they've assisted us, through the process. So for as long as we comply, for as long as we, complete the required forms, pay the required fees, we were able to get the permit. So there's several permits, I would say about 8 permits, and we do have annually the intergovernmental agency meeting where we discuss, challenges and what the city would expect. And we're so happy that PIDCI has been ranked by the city as one of the most outstanding event sponsors. We've always turned back the city clean, okay? And so they've always cited us, and they've always acknowledged us during meetings that PIDCI, or the Philippine Independence Day Parade, has always been outstanding in meeting the requirements of the city. But also, I think one most important thing is that the city also is spent so much on our parade. They provide security through the police department. That, of course, is a financial resource that the city had dedicated. Yeah, we do pay the sanitation for cleaning up the city, but I know that is not, the only cost that the city incur for having us parade. And not only parade, we also have an all-day street festival as well as cultural festival. So it's actually a full-day activity. So we have security, we have the sanitation, we have the parks, we have so many agencies involved, and I know the city spend money on this parade as well.
So lots of support from the New York City government. Are there any challenges in setting it up?
There are a lot of challenges, and of course, financial is the first one, right? As again, PIDC has no employees. We are all volunteers. Everybody's a volunteer. Nobody's paid. So the fundraising process really revolve around the board members, going out of our way to solicit support. So that's the biggest one. The parade costs more than $200,000 every year. So that's not an easy, that's not an easy feat. We have to really spend so much in getting public support. And so that's the biggest challenge. The second challenge, of course, is because the parade is huge, okay? So we do need a lot of volunteers. And thankfully, the New York City Filipino communities, my goodness, they respond to our call and they come out, especially this year, Alpha Phi Omega. I'm a member of that as well. It actually really responded so well to our request. And Alpha Phi Omega is just one of them, but there's a lot of organization as well. We represent, each board member represent an organization because that's a requirement. Before you become a board member, you have to be a previous president of an organization that's a member of PIDCI. So we also bring with us the organization we represent to help us with the parade, because it takes more than 300 volunteers to man the parade and get it done well.
What has the reception been like in recent years? Have you noticed if there's more first-generation immigrant Filipinos who want to participate and understand their roots? Like I know, for example, that I'm connected to some Filipino-American student organizations, and they also like to occasionally have their own little, for example, cultural dance shows, and they like to have it in different theaters and even in outside venues. So is there more participation from these younger Filipino-Americans?
What's surprising is this. After COVID, I noticed an increased participation of the younger, the younger generation. I was actually surprised. So I was skeptical at first. I was like, okay, is it because they are bored or there's nothing much to do, especially last year? So that's why they're all out here. But then I noticed this year that they're still back. So I was asking myself, was it the food, the street fair, or they really would like to see, the parade? But I think it's a combination. It's a combination. Yeah, you're right. There's less response to the dance, like we like to have our event, the dances. There's not much participation there. They seem to not respond too well in with that kind of an activity. But in the parade, I'm really happy to see that they are coming out in hundreds. In even the participation in the parade, there were 3 groups of student groups who participated. So I think they really would like to know more about the Philippines, our culture, and I think they also would like to get involved. So that is why PIDCI, in our series of activities, we always make sure that there is an event dedicated to the younger generation. It's because I think they need to get involved as early as now, right? Otherwise, as they grow older, they will become a lot more distant from the Filipino heritage. So going back to your question, there is a lot of interest, but I think defining the type of activities that would appeal to them is the challenge.
Okay. But are these students or these youth groups that are coming in, are they necessarily connected to, for example, are they children of PIDC members, or are they really coming to you on their own?
Okay, a lot of these younger individuals are actually also related to PIDC, PIDC members. Either their parents were dragging them to the event, but they respond so well. So we're happy to see that. But the 4 student groups who joined the parade, or 3 student groups who joined the parade this year, they are not necessarily part of PIDC to begin with. So we were happy to see them parade this year.
Okay. So for your organization, what does it mean to empower Filipinos and Filipino Americans?
Well, I think empowering our kababayans here is so important, and that's why we have this third part in the parade, giving tribute to modern day heroes, because they are modern day heroes. You should realize how important they are in the economic growth of both the Philippines and the US. We just don't want them to feel that they are second class citizens in the US. They are as important as anybody, and that's what empowering means. We want like everybody to feel that they are as important as anyone in this country, and they should not feel like they are second class citizen, that they have no voice. So that is why we have the parade, because we would like to show the world that there's a lot of us, that we have a rich culture, that we are as important, and we contribute so much to both the US and the Philippine economies.
I am curious, since you did mention that we don't want our OFWs to feel like they're second-class citizens, And since the parade is also in a way a platform to communicate to the world what the Philippines wants to say and what Filipinos, individual Filipinos want to say to the world, is it also an opportunity for OFWs to share their plight? Like, for example, the domestic workers who aren't, don't have the best living conditions, or the undocumented workers, or the Filipinos who have been victims of or survivors of hate crimes and other forms of racism. Are these issues also amplified in the parade or in the platform?
Well, the parade, you don't necessarily have that kind of an opportunity to, to send a message out. But the fact that they are included in the parade, there are member organizations of PIDCI who paraded, like the caregivers, right, and the babysitters. What we are saying to the world in there is that they are caregivers, they are babysitters, they are as important as the professionals. So they have equal opportunity, they have a space in this parade, and therefore they should be treated the same way and feel the same way, because regardless of what kind of a job you have, it does make a significant contributions to both the U.S. again and the Philippine economies. So the messaging as in terms of voicing out or putting out really a verbal message, maybe not, but the fact that we are giving them a space to parade, giving them an opportunity to put out a beautiful participation as everybody else. I think this is a message, a strong message, like no other as well.
Of course, and it's important also that just being seen is a very important thing, because there's a whole thing about Filipinos feeling invisible, especially when they're in a melting pot like in America. No? So
you are right, and we are. That's why I said that platform is as important, because anybody, any organization, no matter what what type, they are welcome in the parade.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So why do you think it's important for Filipinos abroad to commemorate Independence Day even when they're far from home?
It's, I think, more important that we celebrate because we're far, right? We're too far from the Philippines, and just by having everybody together on this very special day, it's making the celebration of a very important event a lot more meaningful. It would be kind of lonely if you are by yourself celebrating Philippine Independence Day, but if you're out there with hundreds and thousands of people, it gives you a feeling that you're not alone, that you are celebrating a very important day with everybody, and it kind of raises your patriotism to another level. So I think that's why it's so important. We don't want people feeling and just forgetting the day. In fact, having it all out there in a special way in a parade, it's a strong reminder to everybody that we are enjoying what we're enjoying today because of what had happened in the past, and that now we can also contribute to what could be in the future. So that is, I think, as important.
Maybe for my last question, do you think that increasing globalization and migration poses a threat to commemorating Filipino independence abroad, or do you think it's more of an opportunity? And what challenges do you foresee in the organization's advocacies, and how do you plan to overcome them?
I think it's an opportunity because you know why? There are a lot more and more Filipinos who could participate in this celebration on an annual basis. The challenge perhaps is to bring them in, because if there are new immigrants in here, they probably would not know necessarily what kind of activities we do have in the community. So that could be the challenge. But the fact that we celebrate, and now the Philippine Independence Day celebration is a lot more seen in various portals, I think they know that there is a parade. So they can plug in with different organizations and be able to join, in the next one. So I think we could see that the parade is going to grow larger as opposed to smaller because of this movement.
All right, I think we can end on that note. Thank you so much, Nora, for your time.
And thank you for having us. And we thank the volunteers of PIDCI for making this parade a success.
All right. Again, you're tuned into At Home sa Abroad on Rappler. I'm Michelle Abad. Thank you for listening.